And we are live. Quick disclaimer, anything you see in this video is not financial advice. This is just a market overview, just to get an in-depth look at the market. So start off with SPY. So first and foremost, I like to look at things from a weekly perspective, right? So we're seeing here, this is their SPY weekly candle. And just an overview of everything that has happened so far. So obviously we were in uptrend. That's no longer the case. We broke that trend line. But just to take a closer look at the candle structure here is important. Obviously a large red body candle indicates strong selling, right? But we do have this longer wick towards the bottom, indicating that there what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's a potential for a slowdown or consolidation to occur here, unless there are even stronger buyers stepping in, sellers stepping in. So candle structure wise, obviously we are in a red body candle, but with the week being holiday weekend or holiday week and next week being holiday, it'd be interesting to see how the market reacts to it. And now let's go ahead and go through how I assess my levels. So as you see, there is a lot of lines here. First and foremost, I try to take a look at our daily chart here. I pull up my volume profile, kind of just take a look at where most of the volume lies. Obviously we're in a daily, like a huge downtrend here. So I will go in a little bit deeper than the daily candles, and we'll look more towards the 1 hour candles, because it's just been a long thin structure all the way down, so not much room for volume to develop here besides just selling pressure. All right, and as far as where I'm achieving these levels here, if you can see, a lot of these support lines line up with large volume nodes, and these are basically peaks. So where the most volume in price action lies. This is where most of the time either buyers or sellers are stepping in. So price will find support, or it has a lot of value in this area. So this is where we're really looking for any major support in the market. So yeah, so we have the supports here, and as far as overall trend, I have some lines here that are indicated by strong and weak. So the strong and weak are yellow, indicating pivotal lines in the chart. It's typically how I do it. So all of the yellow lines will be pivotal. All of the green lines act as support, and obviously the red is the resistance. And from with these lines here, to have any continuous downtrend here or strong continuation to the downside, I would be looking for some break underneath 584.45 to confirm a further downtrend. And if we're looking at any strong reversals, we do need to see some price action holding above this yellow line at 594.92. And even if we close above it and consolidate a bit, that is great for price to find some recovery to the upside. As far as pathing goes, for our bulls out there, pathing wise, I we'll go to the 30-minute chart here. Kind of have a few trend lines going on here. All right, so as far as pathing for the bullish trend, as far as levels as well, I will be posting it after this recording. It'll be in the market overview chat, and I will go through each of these levels. So don't worry about missing out on them. For our bullish trend, we have this trend here with this purple or pink pink trend line. This is essentially consolidation, building up some value to the upside. So for any bullish trend to take place, we would need some. Obviously, we're at the trend line now, so a support off of this, creating some type of bounce, and testing this strong pivotal point in the chart, right? Because this is where we need to see price action to become bullish. So some type of bounce off of here, hitting slight resistance here, small pullback, finding value here. As you can see, there's not as much value in the volume chart here. As soon as we find some value here and buyers are able to step in, we can see some strong closures over here, over the yellow line, with us taking out the previous week, the previous high in the structure that we have in this downtrend, for any continuous upside. And as far as our highs and lows, these are expected ranges using a option straddle technique. It's essentially where I feel the weekly market range will be. I give those levels out every single week. So if you have any questions regarding how to find those levels, please contact me. I will try to go through as best as I can to explain how I get to those levels. But this is basically our pathing for an uptrend. We're just going to be hopefully supporting off of this trend line, retesting our pivotal point, coming back and going towards the bull end. As far as bearish, there are a few outcomes that can lead into a bearish pathing. For the bears, what we could do is have a false breakout. So the first path to a false breakout would be a bounce here, again testing our highs here and our strong pivotal line, but as opposed to breaking outwards, because there's a lot of thin structure here. So if we were to close above this line, price is not going to have a hard time making its way up, as you can see by the small thin structure, price just kind of went in one direction. There was no stopping. So bearish trend would occur off of a bounce here, testing this strong support, consolidating a bit at our high value note right here, and then having some strong pushes on the downside. Another outcome that can possibly happen is we open and we do have some consolidation here at this high volume note, and we break towards the bottom end of this consolidation trend, consolidate further before we have some strong continuous downside. Another thing that I have noticed, aside from bears and bull trends, is we are in somewhat of a bear flag. It's not as ideally clean as many other flags you may see, but it is there. and it leaves room for another bearish outcome that we can have. So obviously this is our long pull, and we rejected here. This is actually our 50% fib point. So if you drew a Fibonacci from here to here to the bottom end of this range right here, this would be our 50% rejection. And where we're supporting at is our 38. As far as bear flag, this is sort of what it would look like. So our 50% is going to be where the top of the flag would occur. And right off of the 38% is where we're going to draw the bottom end of the flag. This is how I typically draw my bear flags. So yes, price did wick a little bit below it. So I drew it a little off, but essentially this is your bear flag. So you would look for some consolidation and break underneath, which is sort of confluent with our large volume note and this pivotal level right here. So if price wants to maintain bullish or neutral, it would need to stay over this pivotal level, which I will also provide for you as well. It currently is 590.38. And let's go back to the 30-minute here and just show you sort of what price would be somewhat in a neutral market. So as far as the neutral pathing, which is very likely considering that we're in holiday week. So holiday week is low volume but high volatility. And what we can expect is our resistance here, our support here, and our pivot to kind of be just the range that we're going to be chopping in. So something like this, retesting and consolidation in the zone and finding value in this lower end of this range that we're in is essentially what a neutral week would look like if we end up having that having that take place. And quickly before I move on to the other tickers, feel free to unmute your mic. But does anyone understand what it means to have high volatility and low volume in the market during the holidays, and how that will influence your trades at all? Feel free to step in.
Move, if you can kindly go more details on that, that'd be great. Okay, because all of us are learning these things.
Okay, so with okay, will do. So as far as low volatility, it just means, well, low volume is obviously liquidity. You need volume and liquidity go hand in hand, right? That's where all of the cash is in and out of the market. So with the holidays taking place, a lot of institutional investors are on holiday, so they're not in trading. The $1 million call for SPY is unlikely to happen, right? These no major funds are investing such heavy amounts of money into the market at the moment. So right now it's truly just retail traders and, you know, maybe some larger investors themselves. Excuse me. And so what that does is it creates more volatility in the market. Volatility can be found using the VIX if you're not familiar with. Um, Anything over 20 would be considered really volatile. Anything over 30 would be considered extremely volatile. Um, and essentially, what low volume, high volatility does is it increases the spread between asks and bids. So if you were to take a position in a trade, I would highly suggest everyone widen their stop loss just a little bit. because the cost to entry and the cost to exit is going to be spread out much more considering there's less volume in between. Um, what else I can say about as far as that? And with low volume, there's going to be less. There's less likely for any strong, true trends to play out. Um, it I honestly, one investor could heavily put in, let's say, a short signal into the market, and it can create an entire trend on its own. There's such low volume in the market. Any large positions will have a huge effect on the market, as opposed to when we're active. Just last week where everyone's putting money into the market, there's still room for buyers to outbuy the sellers and the sellers to outbid the buyers. Now we don't have that, so there's much more spread in between the bids and asks, as well as because of low volume, any news that takes place this week will have a significant impact on the market. For example, just to step away for a second, we have a few bits of news coming out this week. They're orange, indicating they're will have a smaller effect, but not anything major. But on a week like this, when we have such low volume, any of these has the potential to completely change a trend. Your consumer confidence is essentially how confident people, the average person, feels spending money, right? And this is essentially going to affect cyclical stocks like Amazon, Target, whatever you can think of, any retail stock. So any news that say negative can cause a sharp downtrend or sharp uptrend in the market, with low volume, and it'll be very hard for you to get in and out when the chain suddenly changes. So, and the trend could go down slightly and quickly recover as well. So having a stop loss that you normally would do may not always work out because we might have more exaggerated moves towards the up or down. And if you're a newer trader, most people typically take these next 2 weeks off, or at least minimize the amount of trades that they're taking, which I highly suggest. Lowering your size and exercising a really strong, risk management in your assets. As far as quickly before I change the screen here, some of the significant news that I see coming out this week would definitely be our consumer confidence, new home sales, and our unemployment claims. Those are the three that I think are going to have an impact this week. As well as, while I have this tab open as well, our hours this week on the market. Christmas Eve will close at 1 p.m. And of course, on Christmas, we are closed. As far as pathing on SPY, I think we got through most of it. One thing I do want to point out on the daily chart is our daily 50, 200, 50, 20, and 200 MA, not EMA, MA. So EMAs are estimated, MAs are actual. They typically are lagging, so it's much more difficult to trade during the day with price action. But post market, like we are right now, it's a very strong indicator of how the market's doing. One thing I wanted to point out here is, where is August? August, we are right here. All right. So our 50 EMA right here is this blue line. Purple is our 200, and green and yellow are our 5 and 20. So although we had a strong downtrend, looking at how price action was on August, around August when we had the major dip, price actually barely went underneath our 50, and it tried to reclaim it on the close, as opposed to August 5th where there was a strong downtrend underneath our 50 and we struggled to reclaim it. So we do, it's this downtrend is not as severe as August 5th, but it's, at the end of the year and we have 2 weeks of low volume. So it might be a little bit harder to climb out of this. I think it'll take a few weeks before we do, if we do. But as far as how bearish, I would say it's not as bearish as August 5th, in my opinion. And then let me move on.
Move. Can I just add one more thing to that?
Yes. The blue
Volume
line,
profile.
volume profile.
Yeah. So I just want to add, okay, just because like Smoove mentioned that the downtrend is not so strong, it doesn't mean everything is on sell. Just start loading the boat. Absolutely not. Okay, be very cautious because he's saying it time and again. It's a very low volume time of the year. Okay, so things can be a bit funky. What you see right now, it's very easy to push the volumes if they want to do it. So be a bit cautious unless you have the full confirmation of the uptrends. Don't start investing on your long-term portfolios.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for the input.
And Moin and Smooth will add this. We'll host like a session where in the future where we can talk about how you size into your long term portfolios as well. You don't buy at all time highs. That's the main point.
All right. Um, let's see. And then very quickly before I go, this is our yellow lines here are basically your overall bearish and bull trend. So any holds over this level at 594 is bullish. Any holds underneath 584.45 is bearish. Okay. And now let us move on to, can I close this? There we go. Let's move on to QQQ. Far as QQQ on a weekly chart, this candle. Oh yes, thank you, Nzong, for replying. So as far as the weekly chart, our candle on QQQ is more indecisive, because of our body here. Obviously, seller stepped in, but we also have large wicks on the upper and lower part of the whole candle structure, which basically just shows an indecision for buyers and sellers. So sellers were FOMOing into the market, of course. Sellers are FOMOing into the market, of course, but buyers did not want price to drop too far, so they stepped in as well to try to maintain stability in the chart, which is somewhat what we've seen in SPY, with the larger lower wick here, on SPY, basically showing that buyers were stepping up to just not have price fall as quickly as it was, right? There was a lot of emotional trading involved in our strong downtrend that occurred this past week. Now I will move on to the daily chart here. Pull up my levels. All right. So on the daily chart here, we were in a pretty solid um, channel here towards the upside. We had a retest of the bottom end of the channel during our large downtrend, but we managed to break just under it while also closing within it again. So although the channel was slightly invalidated, with this strong red body green body candle, I I'm still holding hope that our channel remains. So I'm just trying to see what price action would be within this channel. So that's why the channel is still here. Just as a heads up, and just like SPY, we will go onto the 1 hour chart to kind of go through everything here. So similar to SPY, we have our strong and weak pivotal points here. The weak pivotal point, as you can see, was acted as a previous resistance here towards the beginning of November, acted as support towards the beginning of December, right before the gap up. We did wick a little bit below it, we filled the gap. Of course, did not mention that, but in SPY we have not completely filled the gap. SPY still has a little bit room left in its gap, indicated by this red square here. So QQQ did fill the gap, and buyers stepped in and closed over this pivotal point and continued to the upside. So similar to SPY, what I'm looking for as far as bullets and bearish is any holds over our pivotal points, our strong pivotal points here, our weak pivotal points, or underneath our weak pivotal point is bearish. And similarly with our volume nodes, similarly with our volume profile here, all of my lines here follow peaks and valleys in the profile here, which I will provide for all of you. So as far as pathing goes, one thing I did notice on QQQ here is a few little interesting patterns that took place. So for one, we have let's do yellow. For one, on the hourly chart, I'm seeing a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern taking place here, right? We need a little bit more consolidation here to create the head for further downtrend. That's on the hourly, but what I also noticed was on our 30-minute chart, there was also an inverse head and shoulder taking place here with liquidity here, our head, and possibly the other shoulder. So, we'll see this week how it plans out and how price action will be, but just bear in mind some of those patterns that I identified here. And let's go back to our pathing. So to go back to pathing, I'm going to pull up our levels here. Stay on the hourly just to give a cleaner structure here. As far as pathing, for the bulls, it's a little bit harder because we do have a tighter range for our pivotal points here. pathing wise, I would like to see this support hold. So maybe a little bit of a pullback, retesting of that support, bouncing, clearing over our pivotal point here, finding and either consolidating here at this resistance line before finding strength and going towards the upside. And consolidation around here also would complete that head and shoulder that we found. So do be careful on going long outside of our high and low value expected ranges. And our bulls. For our bulls, similarly, consolidation here, s- smaller consolidation here before breaking down, bouncing off of our pivotal point here, and for further downtrend, right? So that's why the significance of our strong and weak pivotal points here are just to help you kind of see where possible bounces can take place. Because ideally, what you want to do is you do not want to enter a trade from here to here, from our support to our pivotal. This is low risk, low reward. Well, high risk, low reward, right? Ideally, what you want to see is a test of it, catch a bounce before you decide to short anything, right? Um, so that's kind of the pathing that I see for our bears is just some sort of downtrend here, a bounce, maybe consolidation before a strong push towards the downside. And as well as how we had on SPY, something neutral would also be consolidation in this strong and weak pivotal points is just simple consolidation, right? We have low volume in the market right now, and that is very likely um, to take place, as well as any rapid. This zigzag seems like a crazy level of consolidation, right? But when we have such low volatility in the market, any short here and any long could easily sway the market in such large volume candles, right? With our VIX increasing in our low volume um, this week. Let's see what other notes I have here. If we go back to the daily chart and pull up my 50 here, there was, of course, we had the downtrend, but we did not test our 50 EMA, which is actually where our low volume, low expected range is. Um, which is, so if we do see a test of it or a bounce, this is where our weekly expected range are. So we have not tested the 50 EMA, 50 MA on the daily chart to suggest a strong confirmation that we have broken the trend, right? The breaking under R5 is just our daily trend being broken. 20 EMA is our daily support being broken. But our overall trend with our 50 MA has not been broken. Ooh, let's delete that. Okay. So now I will go over to IWM here. Get rid of our EMAs here. Again, similarly with our volume profile, this is essentially how I find my support and resistance levels. I'll go through IWM fairly quickly here because I know not many people do trade it, but it is worth mentioning as our fellow analysts here in the zone and Moen both do trade small caps quite a bit, so it is worth noting kind of what overall small cap trends are looking at, right?
Oh, good. I thought you were planning on insulting us both. saying that we're small traders. All right. Quickly, Smooth. Would you mind adding that thing that you once broke down for me? How IWM adds to SPY?
Okay.
That would be a great learning for everyone.
Okay. So essentially, what I look at, so your SPY is going to be a nice broad spectrum of the overall market, right? So for any strong uptrend to occur, you want to see QQQ also taking that uptrend as a confirmation that SPY is in an uptrend, right? Inversely, if you want to see some solid downtrend, you want to see IWM showing strong failure while SPY is also showing either a consolidation or some signs of failure. Is this essentially what I broke down with Moen here? Because your IWM is a large amount of small caps, and SPY does have a considerable amount of small caps. Because you have your health sector, your financial sector. These are all considered, you know, they can be small caps, right? They're not your mega cap, Nvidia, Apple, and so on and so forth. So they do have an influence on SPY. So to see IWM showing some strong failure will give you an indicator that, you know, SPY potentially could be also confirming that downtrend that it's in. All right. And as far as IWM, quickly again, our high expected range is here indicated. Levels will be provided to you. Strong and weak pivotal
Apa
points
guys?
are right here. Sorry.
Sini muka lah sak beda capture.
Gonna, can you please mute your mic? Okay. All right. So strong and weak pivotal points are right here on spot on IWM. I will also indicate those levels in the chat later today. As far as what I see in IWM, we were in a very strong downtrend. We still are. It's very, very strong downtrend. We broke out of the channel and it's, you know, very severely downtrending right now. Here is an interesting point that I noticed while coming up with my levels today was if we just take a look at SPY and QQQ, you notice how we were in an uptrend that had up we will call somewhat of a pullback, right? Or you know, slight sell off. Same thing. I QQQ, right? Uptrend, sell off, right? IWM is looking a little bit different here. We're on a downtrend this entire time, and with our downtrend on SPY and QQQ led to even stronger sellers stepping in. So I just found that fairly interesting to point out here. And as I also noticed on the 4 hour chart here, we had somewhat of a relief here on Friday, but what I can see here, the RSI was in an oversold. RSI was obviously going down this entire time. This is your momentum. So the momentum was obviously trending down, and once we got to the end of towards the end of the week, there was somewhat of a bounce, but it was truly just a recovery out of the um region of the RSI, in my opinion. Um, and then we'll quickly go over pathing here. So quick pathing for IWM. We have one, obviously bear flag consolidation here. Our 50 is right at this strong pivotal point. That is our 50% retracement on our fib. So clear bear flag consolidation. So instead of, as opposed to a bull flag pennant, we have more of a consolidation that's occurring because we have IWM in small caps. It doesn't have as large volatility as your SPY or the QQQ. So the flags may look much different than something on, let's say, Nvidia or Tesla, right? So more of a consolidation like this and breaking our lows and continuing down, right, is a confirmation of that bull flag. As far as bearish trend goes, I do see us we're at a pivotal level in the chart. So maybe a slight bounce occurring at the open, continuous consolidation until the market can find some type of direction, and we're just retest our supports and bounce until we can get a clear body a clear body candle that is closing below our weak pivotal point, right? And as far as bullish goes, for bullish, I think there is a long way to go before we can look bullish on IWM. There's quite a bit of price action that needs to take place that typically doesn't happen on IWM. But we could see an uptrend here, test our pivotal point here, retest our price action pivotal point right here for a slight uptrend here, and it'll be a slow ride up. I do not see it being a breakout if we do decide to change trend, because this is going to be around breaking through this level. There is a thin structure here, but this is our strong resistance off of here. So even if we break towards the upside, there's not much room for IWM to go off of the expected highs, as opposed to SPY and QQQ where there was just price action above. This is strong consolidation, here. So it's going to take a lot of momentum to really push that up. Another downtrend that I possibly see taking place here is more of a head and shoulders pattern. So if we do have SPY and QQQ attempting a recovery, we're going to see IWM attempt to recover as well. So we're going to see some strong pushes up towards our pivot here. Maybe a rejection, slight rejection before consolidation somewhere around here. Breakdown, consolidation, and move to the downside. Notice how I am mentioning a lot more consolidation as opposed to SPY and QQQ, because there is less price action with those particular stocks. There's more price action with those particular stocks. But essentially we would have a head and shoulder here taking place. And we
Rashid, the mind muting your mic.
Okay, so just a general overview of the market there. As far as the rest of our market internals here, I will, as anything significant that does pop up, I will mention it. I do have a few things that I've noticed throughout the week. I would say our financial sector and our consumer discretionary sectors, XLY, XLF, might see some decent price action this week. Coming into the holidays, it typically has some nice volatility. So be on the lookout for any messages that it do give regarding to that. And as far as questions, any other questions anyone may have, I see there is one for Bitcoin. Oh my God, Bitcoin, can't type. Bitcoin, I will do the same thing with as far as Bitcoin. Oh, why are we so much out? There we go. Let's do a 30-minute chart. All right, Bitcoin following obviously the same similar downtrend as SPY and the rest of the market. Sorry, down channel here. Consolidation. So look below and back into this down channel. As far as levels or pathing, what are you essentially trying to look for? Because for as far as levels, we do have resistance here, solid support right here, and solid support right here on Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, similarly with SPY, you kind of want to see the market recover here for any uptrends. Um, Going into the new year, I do see more of a bullish trend on crypto. Our new president that's coming in is very heavily influenced by crypto, so we may see a lot more changes happening with crypto. So um, I would be on the lookout for that. These are also some resistances here. Pathing wise, we have a slight head and shoulder pattern occurring here. You'll notice I mentioned the head and shoulder quite a bit. That is one of the more successful patterns in the market. So we're looking for a head to play out here, as well as if we wanted to have an inverse head and shoulders playing out similarly to this here, with the head and inverse head and shoulders, the shoulder here, and continuous breakout. So you would look for any strongholds over 100. Well, let's do 100, not 100, 102, 100. Any strongholds over 100 is definitely bullish. Any break underneath are 93. I would say 92 is more solid since this is our previous low, would be bearish. Yeah, essentially. Any other questions that anyone may have? All right.
I have just one question, and I'm pretty new, but consolidation only means that it's trading sideways.
Yes, but trading sideways sometimes is a good thing, right? Because we're creating value in a range. So consolidation is quite healthy for any trend that you expect to take place in the market.
Okay. One other question with SPY.
Yes.
It seems like it's a fake out. Is that called a dead cat bounce?
Yes. So a dead cat bounce would be a just strong bounce here. Um, I wouldn't say that we completely dead cat bounce here. Because dead cat bounces usually have huge uptrends and then a large downtrend immediately afterwards. This price action here looks more like consolidation back in this to create a value range here within the strong and weak pivotal point. So until we see how the market opens tomorrow and if it breaks our trend line here, I could see it being an actual dead cat bounce. But for right now, we're not too sure on it just being a complete dead cat bounce. And if you're curious of what all of these lists of tickers here, this is basically essentially my market overview. I go quite a bit in depth in each of these. So if anybody is interested, I am more than willing to go through each one of them and kind of explain how it affects the market essentially.